Hello everyone, I'm Dan Elzer. Welcome to Zap-TV. This month we got something very special for you. As you see, I'm in a lab coat. And I'm in a lab coat because our theme is Mythbusters. So we're going to try to have a little bit of fun today and make things happen and bust some myths for you today. So before I get my co-host out here, I want to start by explaining how the system works. If you're new to Zap-TV, I want you to get your phone out. And what we're going to do is give you a phone number to put into your phone so you can communicate with us in real time. There it is down there on the bottom of the screen, 321-300-7759. If you'll load that into your app, everybody who's watching, this will give you the opportunity to ask questions, give comment as we go through today's show. If you ask questions that are a little off subject that we're currently talking about, don't worry. We keep the questions, and we'll do our best to answer all the questions in the mailbag segment at the end of the show. Also, this is being recorded. So in 48 hours, this will be back up on the same page that you're currently watching. And so you can share it with people, you can watch it again, but it'll be right here on this website as a recording within 48 hours of the end of the show. Also remember that if you are right now watching the recording, the text message does not work. I know some people end up watching the video and not knowing it's not live, and will try to text in a question. So if you don't get a response, you might be watching a recording. So with that said, without any further ado, I want to welcome my co-host and Zap X.
I'm ready.
What the heck are you doing?
Let's go.
Oh my God.
Are we gonna blow some stuff up, right?
No, give me that. I don't know what.
Come on, I got fire.
I know you
I'm
do.
ready to bust some
and
stuff.
You're scaring me with it.
So disappointing.
Yeah, well, we're not going to be burning anything or blowing things up. We are doing Mythbuster, though. And Mythbuster
right, I can have fun with that, too.
Well, we're going to bust myths about Zap.
All right.
Not blow up stuff. So
that's okay. I'll have fun with this, too.
But thanks for doing that. So, myth busting. We know there's some myths out there. You're out in the field every day working with the agents and the companies. And we hear these myths and challenges that are actually costing people time and money because they're following some myths that exist. So we got 3 of them I think that will help people today that we're going to bust. But before we get into busting myths, you got some pretty cool updates for people, I think.
Yeah, so, obviously we know the update continues to, the platform continues to update every 2 weeks with some great features added, bugs fixed, things like that. So 2 of the most recent ones, I just want to show you quick. It'll just take me a couple minutes. But one of them is we can actually CC on our listing alerts. So if I set up a listing alert for for a client or a contact in my database, we can actually CC the husband, the wife, whoever we may want to. In the key piece now is we can actually blind copy ourselves. So that's the coolest feature. The feature I love sharing with the husband and the wife, obviously, but that if I wanted to, I can blind copy myself so that when they get an email, I get one. And if I think they didn't open it,
that's cool.
Yeah, saw something in it, I can send them a message like, "Hey, make sure you open up that email."
So if the listing alert gives them something, you're now informed.
Yes.
You won't get blindsided. You know what's going on.
Absolutely.
That's
so
cool.
I'll show you quick, just live in the system, exactly how we can determine if they're set up on CC'd or how to, and then how to also blind copy ourselves.
Cool.
So if I go to, just pull up Cheryl, and Cheryl's a contact in my database that is set up on a listing alert, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, and you'll see that I'm going to just hit this pencil right here, and I'm just going to change, one of these emails to 2. This is just a sample account, so that's why it kind of looks, looks a little goofy there, and I'm just going to delete these 2. So right now, I've added, 2 emails. So let's say this is Cheryl and, her husband. So now I want to make sure both of them actually get that listing alert. So if I just scroll down this page, and you'll just see that's where I'm analyzing Zap score, I actually come down to the section where, there actually is a new listing alert, that we set up for Cheryl, and you'll see at the very top, sort of grayed out, it says CC another email address. If I hit that pencil on the right-hand side, it's like, what other email address do you want attached to it? I'm going to push Cheryl Kirk 2, save it, and you will see that now, if a new listing comes on the market today and Cheryl's going to get an email, whether it's this morning or this afternoon, it's going to go to both of them email addresses. And then the key for blind copying ourselves on the same listing alert is you'll see in the lower right-hand corner, just below that, you're going to see that Jeff Zapp is the agent. So that's Jeff Zapp's email address. If I just toggle that on green, a new listing comes on the market, it's going to be sent out from the system, and it's going to go to Cheryl Kirk 2, and Jeff Zapp's email.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, I absolutely love it. It's what we've asked for a long time. If I don't want it, I can just CC them and not blind copy myself. But the fact is, if I blind copy myself, if I peek at those and I know Cheryl's an active buyer, then I'm going to go, hey, Cheryl, did you see that email? Like, we'd probably go see that listing, without just relying on Cheryl to get some email from the MLS, or me not knowing or not quite paying attention, busy with some other things, and not knowing that listing came on the market. She missed that email, and it's off the market tomorrow.
That's awesome. So you'll be in real time, up to speed, and never have to wonder or wait for a score change if somebody's getting an update on a listing alert.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then just one other one that I want to show you quick is we just redesigned the search page. So if I'm going to set up a listing alert for Cheryl, or Cheryl goes to my website and just wants to look for properties, we actually changed that so it just looks more appealing, easier to see and just sort of comprehend. So if I log in as Cheryl, I'm going to go live, buddy, and just click on, the more and sign in as contact. So now I'm, logged in as Cheryl. I'm just going to click this dark gray more filters button. And you're just going to see this looks different than it ever has. There isn't a more button. There isn't like search more. This is everything we can search for right now, including all of these highlighted ones, which were just little words at the bottom of this page. It was actually almost hard to see. So I could actually break this down by schools and things like that, and actually choose, which school. So just wanted to make sure you knew that search had changed, that search page had changed to make it more attractive and more, just easier to use for us and for the contacts or clients that are searching on our website. So
that's awesome.
Just a couple things that I wanted to show you for the most recent updates. And just stay tuned for some awesome stuff coming in the next quarter. Really, really good stuff coming in the next quarter.
Well, that's great, man. Thank you, Wayne, for the update on that. And you can come back to us, bud. We've already had people reach out and say hi. So some people are shouting out. I mean, last show, people were shouting out.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
it's fun to hear from you.
It's very fun.
Yeah,
but please tell us who you are.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to shout out back to you. So if you're out there, if you're with a group of people also, when you shout out, tell us how many people are with you and where in the nation you are, so we can say hi and give a shout out back. 321-300-7759. Don't hesitate to ask questions. So that's the update. That's cool. The search thing's nice, but I'm just thinking from a proactive perspective, the CC thing, the blind copy
just
thing.
Another way the system is helping us stay just completely in touch,
ahead of the curve
with our contacts. There's no more guessing when we use Zap. If we use Zap, we don't have to guess what our contacts are doing. And I'm not even saying clients. Just contacts. It'll help us, and then those contacts can become clients.
Awesome.
So much easier.
Okay, so today's myth busting. We're wearing our stuff. He brings a torch.
No fire.
He brings a torch.
I guess we'll see what we can do here.
And he's got goggles. Anyway, so let's take a look at our first myth. Myth number one, and this is one that's been floating around, not just since Zap's come along. It's kind of been around forever with real estate agents.
Sure.
And that one is Zap leads are horrible. So what I want you to do, how did how did this start? How did we get a myth that leads coming through the system are horrible? In your opinion, what's driving that?
Yeah, it starts with, our mindset as an agent to just, if you hand me a lead or I get a lead or someone asks me a question about a house, really no matter how that happened, somebody says, hey, can you get me this listing alert? Hey, how many bedrooms, how big are the bedrooms? Or just something, they're asking a question. The fact is that our mindset is that lead, I should be showing them houses tomorrow. So in my mindset, it's just, I'm expecting, wouldn't it be awesome? But I'm expecting every lead to just here's a listing alert, when can I see it? That one's not right for me, send me others, but I want to see one this weekend. And unfortunately,
that's not how life is.
It's just not the way it goes. But, and then when we contact them 3 times and they don't respond, then it's a bad, then it's a horrible lead in the agent's mind.
Okay, so like I said, this has been around for a while. So what you're saying to me is, and it's true, it's been around since 30 years ago it was around. A lead comes through a system. Our expectation is action. They're radio silent. They don't respond. Kind of drop off the grid on us, and we go, that's a bad lead.
Yep.
If that happens a couple times, our brain, we're human, our brain starts to go, stuff that comes from this is bad, therefore it's a waste of my time, all the leads are bad, and we start to group, they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here's something that we know from earlier shows. We have some statistics, some really good tracking statistics from NAR that took people who actually purchased homes, folks. These aren't people that were looky-loos, kicking tires. These people made it to the finish line, a commission was paid.
Correct.
But they tracked them very intimately in their process.
Yep.
And I think we have a slide here for it.
Yeah.
That process that they went through, and thank you, buddy. This is pretty significant because what's the length of time on this?
16.7 months. National average across the country. I wake up this morning, I think I want to buy a house.
It could be 17 months before you cross the finish line.
Before I get to the finish line.
So look up on the screen, folks. We've got, and this again, you got the pre-research, you got active research, and then you got buying. So in the pre, they're online, they're doing things that Zap would pick up on, Zap would give you notification on, but they might not be talking to you.
Correct.
You look to the middle and there's contact an agent, because when people get to a certain motivation level, now they have fears of risking capital and they want to talk to a pro.
Yep.
Then they get into actively looking for the actual home they're going to purchase and purchase.
Yep.
So if you bring that back for a second, buddy, what we're looking at here is every lead that comes in probably falls somewhere on that chart. The problem is if it's not active, we label it a bad lead.
Yep.
So I want to give you some technique right now, and we were talking about this off camera. If you want to be the best and have peak performance here, my recommendation is that you're always in a proactive mode. And what I mean by that is every lead that you get, I want you to begin the process as if they're urgent, as if they're ready to go.
Absolutely.
So how do we get leads? How do these leads come to us? I mean, we've been through this before.
Yeah, so the phone can
ring.
Like, hey, here, here's the lead. Do you want it?
I get the information.
What's happening more often is than ever before is that we're actually getting leads directly to the agents.
Right, coming through the system.
Yeah, coming through the system. So, I found you here, I found you there, I went to your website, clicked a button, I want to see this house. So it's a combination of things, but essentially they're coming to us from,
text, email,
emails,
or the alert.
The Zap notifications.
Now, and with that comes a varying amount of information. Sometimes we get a phone number, sometimes we don't. We get an email address, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. If you would, every time you get a lead, treat it as if it's ready, willing, and able to go. And what I mean by that is the best of the best who properly represent people want an in-person appointment. If they're absentee to the marketplace, they want a Skype appointment, a phone appointment to discover needs and find out and vet these people out. Where are they? How much of my human resource, me and my time, do they need? So if I can call you, I'd call and say, hey, Wayne, I'd be more than happy to work with you, to properly represent you. It begins with an appointment. I would have some time on Wednesday, or would Saturday be better? And I'm going to try to get Wayne to commit to meet with me. First out of the gun. Second thing is, if he's absentee, I'm going to say, I respect your time. Can we schedule a time that we could get on a Skype or something so we can have a good conversation about your needs?
Yep.
If it's an email, I'm going to do the same thing. If all I have is an email, hey, received your information or your request, be thrilled to work with you as a professional real estate agent to properly represent people. It begins with a conversation so I can understand where you are, what's a good phone number, and sometimes you would be available for a call. Now, if every single lead I do that, if they're on the front of that list, we know it's proven
closer to the contact and agent,
they want you.
They're all over.
So they're going to say yes. Now, it's not going to happen the majority of the time. The majority of the time, they're going to be further back. But the people that are there, you're going to get. They're going to meet with you. You're going to build your loyalties, do your job. It's whenever they go radio silent on you, or they don't respond, or they won't respond to that request, that's where Zap can help, right?
Yes.
So let's look at them. The myth is they're all bad. Well, if I'm proactive and I mentally treat everyone as real, the real ones are going to say yes. The ones that don't, what should I be thinking about in Zap?
Yeah, so that's where the platform is designed to help us, not just push that person to the side and say I don't have time, but to grab that person and go, okay, I'm just going to deal with you a little different. So, a couple things that I do would be, first of all, they have to know that you have a mobile app and a website. Here's my mobile app, here's my website, which do you prefer, whatever. So if they're gonna look, even if it's just randomly looking, have them be looking on your mobile app instead of one where they're seeing other agents and things like that.
Which is going to occur even way back in this thing.
Absolutely,
Okay?
They're looking from day one.
And when they do that, what changes?
Their Zap score changes.
So bingo.
So yeah.
So tracking that Zap score.
Yep. And follow-up plans are two. So here's my app. If you're gonna look for a house here, and then so you're not gonna answer my emails. I want to try to get away from worrying about I'm sick of emailing this person. That's where a follow-up plan comes into play. I set them up on a follow-up plan that that I've created. Maybe I've tweaked one, maybe I like one that's in the system, but it has to be something that I'm actually going to follow. And then they open up one of them emails, I know it. They open up one of them emails, they log into they just pick up their phone and push my mobile app, the C21 mobile app that's branded to me, they push that, Zap score changes. So I know they opened an email, I know they opened up the app, and maybe they looked at 2 houses. That's going to trigger the next day. I am going to know, maybe, do I need to reach out to Dan because of that activity, or can I, should I wait a day or 2? But I'm going to know when I should. That's the Zap score that slaps me in the face and says, here's Dan. I know he's been quiet for 8 months, 5 months, a year and a half, whatever, but he's doing something now. Probably should reach out to him. So those 3 things: app, have the app. Here's my website. Use follow-up plans properly, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and then
track that score.
Track the Zap score.
Okay, so going to earlier shows, we talk about wake up every morning, turn on this machine.
Yep.
Sort your scores, look what's going on. If you do that, here's the thing. The sad thing is if you have somebody that comes through your system, through your efforts, marketing, whatever, and you have the myth of they're all bad leads, and then they run into a proactive agent, you did the hard work and someone else got paid.
Yeah.
So when we look at this myth that all leads are bad, that's just a huge myth.
Yeah.
Not all leads are bad. I want to say it this way. All leads just are not worked properly.
Yep. Incubating, the key word.
Incubate those leads.
So.
And by using the system, 90% of the effort is done by the system, 10% by me, and I can keep those people going through that process.
Yep.
So, myth number 1, all leads are horrible. What do you call it?
Busted.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally busted. We got to get out there. We got to make sure that we work all leads. We treat everybody proactively, and then if they don't respond, go radio silence. It doesn't mean it's a bad lead. It could mean they're back here at 16 months, and you don't want to be actively working 16 months, and that's where Zap will take care of it for
Yeah,
you.
and we're not going to, don't act like we're thinking that every lead is going to
Right.
close, but, my whole thing with that, is that if I have 10 people and 2 of them are active, of course I have time for you, but I'm going to make time for the 8 and just wait for 1, 2, 3 of them, whatever it is, to go, I'm ready, let's go look at houses, instead of just going, yeah, you ate, you're done, here's 2, and then I'll get 2 more eventually from somewhere, but why not keep these 2 or 3?
Exactly.
And hang
Pipeline.
on to them. Absolutely,
Pipeline.
absolutely. And let the system help you. So.
Awesome. Okay, so that was myth 1. Second myth that you hear out there a lot, and this one I heard myself, is I don't want to add my personal leads into this CRM or into Zap. So before I get into why this myth has occurred, describe, like I said, you're out there in the field all the time. What leads are they speaking of? What are the leads that they have fear of putting into the system?
So, for me, a personal lead, a personal contact is anybody that I would expect today to use me as a real estate agent. As their agent, this is my...
Someone that knows you well enough that you expect them to use you because of the relationship.
Yeah, so a past client, the folks I'm currently working with, my friends, family, my sphere, people I used to work with, my neighbors, like all of that, like I would expect, I can't assume, but I would expect, like, yeah, they would use me. So I consider those, in my personal little sphere bubble.
Okay, and what other ones? So we got those people we think people that we know or feel that they would do business with us. So you start still talking about friends?
Yeah.
Family?
Yep.
So the leads that we're talking about that we don't want to put in there are people that we truly believe we have such a relationship with that we don't really need this to happen. We don't need them to be in there. So if that's the leads, what drives the fears of putting them in there? Why not put them in there when the system is so robust?
Yep. So really, there's two different things that
drive that.
Yeah, that drive the fear and drive the myth.
Let's do them one at a time. So what's the first one?
That we hear all the time. So the first one, very simple, compliance. So I get the email, hey, I received a broker lead, a week ago, a month ago, and I get emails that say, hey, you have to update this lead. So, and I think, boy, if I added, the 500 people I have from the MLS.
Or even the 30 friends and relatives.
Yeah, or this number, like, I don't want to have to update them. I don't want to get the email and go, hey, you got 100 people now that you have to update, and then I'm going to be out of compliance, things like that. So that's number one fear is I don't want to have to update them.
So the burden that comes with compliance, update, follow through because you're being requested through your company.
Yep.
Got the fear of you want to stay green, you want to keep getting your leads, you don't want to fall behind, all of that stuff. So if I don't add more burden on myself, I'll be better off. So let me just keep my leads out. They're going to do business with me anyway.
Correct.
Is that true?
It is not true. So the huge piece is that, if I add, the 500 people I have in my Gmail, all my contacts, I will never be forced or have to be compliant. So I will never get an email for the person. I could add one person right now that I just met at an open house, and that person, I will never get an email that says you have to update, Dan.
That doesn't fall in the rules of compliance.
Yeah, very, very simple. The broker, the company of the broker pay money for a system that collects leads and hands them to us. So the broker says, you know what, I just need you to update me. Like, I'm giving you a lead, update me.
Right.
Well, the fact is that's a broker lead. And if I add Dan into my system right now, and he's never been in the system, he is an agent lead. So if I have an agent lead, that's my lead. I'm responsible to do what I want, what I want to or need to stay in touch with that person.
So going back to the plans and the follow-up, you're creating your own burden then.
Correct.
You're not going to be told to do anything, but you should be doing something with that lead.
You should be.
Or again, you're missing out like all leads are bad.
Yep. You
Okay.
definitely should be. I can't add 100 people in there and just sit back. The system's is designed to help me to get them to convert, whether they're ready to now or 3 years from now.
Okay, so what's number 2? If number 1 is compliance and the burden that hits us, I don't want all that, I'm too busy. What's the second reason?
So the second one comes down to, okay, I add the 100 people in there. I don't have to email them, compliance-wise, but I also don't want them getting what I would consider silly, non-relevant emails. So I don't want to add my 5 friends in here and, that that might,
It's embarrassment
Yeah, yeah.
almost.
I mean, I don't want them to get an email tomorrow that says, "Hey, are you ready to buy?" Here's, like, I don't want it to.
Or it's spring.
Yeah,
Gutters,
yeah. I don't want them to get,
Spammed.
hit with spam, and them just thinking, oh,
And not
gee,
that not that the automated systems would be viewed as spam by others, but if I have a relationship with you, if you and I run into each other, we know each other, we're friends to some degree, and you start getting so-called automated, predetermined messaging, they feel that that will be viewed negatively.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't want to be put in that position, so I'm not going to put them in there because I don't want my friends to be coming up to me going, like I'm the salesperson, what are you doing to me here?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'll let
just
you know.
gonna leave them
I'll
out.
let you know when I'm going to buy, that type of thing.
Okay, so is that true? Is that something that they should be worried about?
No, actually, no.
Okay.
I mean, if I add, somebody in here now, I determine if they go, if or when or what follow-up plan they go on. So there's nothing attached to them automatically that's going to start calling them a buyer. That's going to be, calling them a seller and acting like they're ready to do it now. I determine what or if, they should be on a follow-up plan, or ideally they are, what that follow-up plan looks like. That's me determining that, not the system for me.
Now, in those follow-up plans, as you've shared with us on other shows, we have points of touch whenever you create that or edit a existing plan. So if we're dealing with someone who's a friend who's not in an urgency mode right now, it'd be a pretty long plan, maybe a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? And you might have 3-4 touches over the year.
Yeah.
So the 3 ways that we can label a touch is, again,
automated.
So the automated one, that's when they're fearful.
Yep. That just, it can just get sent out automatically.
And what's the second one?
And then we have 2 personal touches. So the 3 options for a follow-up plan is automated, email, a personal email, and then a phone call. And they can all be mixed in as part of a follow-up plan.
So if you're my friend, and here's the thing, folks, and this is why this is a myth. If I don't get my friend in there, when I speak with agents all the time, we know that properly managing your sphere, your circle, your core, whatever you want to call it, drives a ton of business. It's the #1 source of business according to the National Association of Realtors. Mm-hmm. We have the greatest system in the world to help us monitor that, their activities, giving them some things they'd really like. I mean, watched homes, all those neat things that we've talked about. So if I don't get you in there and I don't use it properly, I'm counting on the fact that I'll never have that horrible moment when I run into you, your eyes get real big and go, "Oh, Dan, how you doing?" I'm like, "Great, man, how have you been?" They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, what?" I forgot, man, I just bought something. We've all been there if you've been in business long enough. And Zap,
not fun,
Zap would have told us this.
Yeah.
So we make personal touches instead of automated ones.
Yep.
So you can look at the score, you can respond properly to your friend, not over-responding, and they should be in there, correct?
Yes, correct. So put your friends in there, put your neighbors in there, put your family in there.
Offer those free
two
things,
times
man.
a year follow-up plan that says I'm a real estate agent. Don't forget me. If you're bored, here's my mobile app. They should be on something. They should know what you do. They shouldn't. No one should forget what you do. You should be proud to do it. But that's me determining what they should be on, if anything. So that's the key.
So if I get over the myth, if I'm sitting there right now going, okay, I got a lot of people that I don't want to have that happen to me. How do I get them in again? We've done this before, but please share again.
Yeah, very simple. So I'll go live and just show you guys how simple it is to just add one body or the 300 people that I have in the MLS or my Gmail or wherever they are. I can bring them all in at once. So I'm going to go live and just show you that if I hit this plus add, you'll see the first one, new contact, and on the right I can add an individual, so I can add the 3 people that I'm working with now. Make sure they're in your system. But when I do import, the one, the lower one on the right, this is where I can grab a CSV file. So I can export my contacts from anywhere I have one. My Gmail account, I have a Yahoo, I have the MLS, I have, my phone, I can back it up to iCloud, which, by the way, we'll be able to sync our phone soon. So literally just sync the two. So it'll be so cool when that happens. But, for now, I'm just going to grab that file from somewhere, and I'm going to bring in a chunk of people all at once so that I can, know that yes, I know that person, and I would expect them to, work with me when they're ready to buy or sell. So that's the key to, to growing your contact database is the bulk import. And knowing, hey, they all come in. I don't ever have to update them.
Right. No burden,
per the
no
compliance
problems.
rules. They're not going to get silly emails unless I say to do it. So that's the key is to bring in your folks and then just start going through them, a chunk at a time, whatever works for you, and just start analyzing who they are. How do I know you? Should you be on a listing alert, or are you good just kind of being, in my system on a, hey, I'm a realtor type follow-up plan?
So cool. So if we look at this one and summarizing the myth, you can come back to me. Thank you. So if we wrap this one up and we say, okay, we should have everybody in there. And I always like to say this, folks. I mean, again, working with agents, they get overwhelmed and go, God, I got all these people, I don't have them in. I don't know. Well, if you have people not in the system and you feel overwhelmed, remember, today you're not managing them. Get them in the system. That's step one. You don't have to be managing everybody in a plan tomorrow. Do them one at a time. Each one that you spend just a little time in the morning getting them set up properly after you've imported them is one more person that's going to be in your system that you can start to track so you can be there for them.
Yep. You have better control on it, of those. Believe me, you'll start feeling better about yourself.
So do we believe the myth that we don't want to have our personal leads in there?
No, we want to have everybody we know in there. So
we'll call that one busted too?
I'm calling that one busted.
Awesome. Busted. Okay. So, having a little fun with this, guys, as you can see. We got a third myth that hits us. And this one, first I want to say that I give credit to the people that are in this myth because they're doing something.
Yep.
But they're missing out. And the third myth is auto email plans, using it passively, will increase my business. Basically saying, if I put everybody in there, set them up on one of the automated things and sit back, I'm going to be rich.
Yep.
So how did that myth get started?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about this one sort of at a personal level. Is when I started real estate, of course didn't know where to start, but so I started, excuse me, getting contacts. Like, oh, I know these people, and started getting together. And I'm like, well, now I held an open house for an agent. Now I got 6 new people there or whatever. Like, now what do I start doing with them? Like, how do I keep track of all these people? Didn't have a Zap at that point. Wish I did, but didn't. So it's like, and then everybody I talked to, it was just the way. Well, just put them on a drip campaign, because if they see an email from you, whether they read it or not, I remember hearing this, like, they're going to see your name and just go, oh, Wayne's my Wayne would be my agent, So that's really kind of, for me, where it started. Like, just put them on drips, and then they just
sit back
they just see your name, and they'll just call you when they're ready.
So if that was true, we'd have a lot of rich people.
Yeah, wouldn't it be awesome?
It kind of reminds me back in the day, being in the business 30 years, of geographical farming. When we first got in years ago, before technology, it was like go geographical farm. You bulk mail a marketplace, and if you hit them with something once a month of interest. But the second part of geographical farming was get off your bottom and go knock on the door and meet everybody.
Yeah.
Well, 97% of agents went and got a farm, and they spent a ton of money farming it, but they didn't go out and meet people.
Yeah.
So the people that did both parts, got proactive and met people, they were the top producers, man. They're the ones that had the inventory, they're the ones that had the market. The ones that just mailed, they had like 0.0-something% return, which is that one-off every once in a while. It sounds like what you're saying here is, if I just use Zap to auto and I stay completely passive, I'm kind of doing what the old school did, where we didn't get a result. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, it's better than nothing, but it's so easy to do just a tad more with the system doing it for you. And then actually, converting. The idea is to convert more.
I just had a thought. there's a book, Spin Selling, came out in '88. Neil Rackham, professor who wrote about the psychology of selling, and he layered what was called levels of need. Level 1, a person feels perfect. They don't need a salesperson for anything. Level 2, they've got a little dissatisfaction. Level 3, they have a need. Level 4, they're in impulse. What they learned was at level 3, people don't ask for help, but they want help. That's right there in that form that we looked at.
Yeah.
But level 4, they get impulsive, meaning they take action with the next breathing person in that industry. Following this myth, you could incubate somebody perfectly, and then they walk in an open house or walk in something, and that person's proactive, and all your effort just put money in that person's pocket.
Yeah, it's so scary to think that, in the auto email plans, if that's all I'm doing, and I just sat back and said, Dan's going to let me know, I mean, I have faith that he's going to call me or email me back or text me when he's ready, then, I am literally giving them everything. Like, they could still be using my app. If I'm not doing anything to monitor them and just for them to trigger to come back to me, that's it. Like, those people are begging for someone to actually call them in step 3, like just on the verge, like, well, if you didn't call me, it's okay, but if you did, I'd tell you that I was like, I'd probably have some questions and I'd probably be close.
Yes.
And instead, we could sit back and go, no, Otto, I'm good. Like, Dan hasn't reached out to me in 6 months, the heck with him. Meanwhile, the guys could be, in more than we ever have, are just sitting there going, not quite ready, ready. And they're like, are you there, or is someone else there in front of me?
So when we look at those plans, as you've shared in prior things, let's say we put somebody on a 12-month plan. Once a month, there's a touch. We already talked about different types of touches. So if I have automated, personal, that's going to notify me that it's time for me to review somebody.
Yeah, so the automated, it's going to get sent out automatically. I can feel comfortable with that. But the automated, 10 times in a row, I forget you even exist. Like, unless you come, unless you call me. But the automated personal, then it's like automated, great, personal.
So that's not compliance, but that's your own system going, hey, Dan, Wayne, it's time to touch Wayne. Yep. So I go in, I look at your score, I find out your score is moved. Might be time to get technique, pick up the phone and go, oh shoot, his score moved significantly. Hey Wayne, just following up with you, you have any questions? So that forces me to do that. Now, prior to the show, guys, I'm old school. I always tell agents, I want you to invest your time to get a return on it. Make sure your human resource is getting you a return. And so I asked Wayne, I said, well, how long do you want me to do this? If we're having radio silence on people, how long? And he really blew my mind because he just simply asked me a couple questions. So I want you to do what you did to me. When I said, how long should I be doing this? And how did you come back at me?
So I personally, again, my agent mindset, I very simply said, well, if you have past clients, what do you do for your past clients? What do you do? I sold you a house yesterday. What am I going to do for you with you for the next,
And I came back and he said, so you sell someone a house, he was really blunt when we were not on in front of the camera here. He goes, you sell someone a house, what are you going to do? And I go, well, I'm going to follow up with them. I'm a listing-minded agent, so I'm going to stay there because that buyer will become my seller. So then he asked me a question.
Very simple. I said, well, how long would you do that?
And I paused for a minute and I went, 5, 7 or more years? And he said, so you'll put effort into your past client that's a buyer because you want that listing for 5, 7 years, but you won't use a system that will do 90% of the work for 16.7 months.
To hang on to a buyer that is quiet now. Like, and I said, the person you sold the house to, I email them like, hey, hope all is well with the house. Of course I'm doing it. I'm doing a handwritten note. I'm doing all that stuff. But they're not writing me back going, thank you for the handwritten note.
No.
They just get it and they're quiet.
And 7 years later, they go, I need to sell my house.
Yeah. So, why wouldn't we consider doing that for leads?
Especially when you have a system that's going to do 90% of it.
I don't know that I could do it, or probably couldn't do it. When you get 100 leads, over time, and they're all quiet. I can't just sit there and go, okay, look at my notebook. But I got to program a platform that tells me when.
And bring them top of the list as soon as you need to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it blew my mind. And from my perspective, I went, you know what? If I would take the time to set things up right, a little bit of time on the front end to get the person set up properly, I don't have a burden. This thing is my digital assistant to make sure I don't miss anything. So on this myth, staying passive is going to make you rich. What do you go?
Yeah, I mean, use the platform. Use the platform.
Busted?
Myth busted.
Busted.
Yeah. And we talked, I don't expect every lead I get to buy.
Right.
Whether it's, tomorrow or 24 months, like some won't. But the idea is that we know that more than ever are just, educating themselves, doing their own homework, and then they're just going to raise their hand and go,
hey,
I'm
here I
an
am.
agent,
Here I am.
and are you there or not? So, for me, letting the system work for us, that's the key.
Okay, so I want to move into the mail call. We've got a couple questions, and let me throw them at you here, Wayne. First one I want to give you, it says, can this be viewed later? I can answer that. This is recorded. As I said in the beginning, maybe you came on midstream. This is being recorded. In 48 hours, it will be back up on the same website you're on. But in the screen will be a recording. You click on it, and you'll be able to watch all or part or whatever you want, share it with others, put it in a sales meeting. So yes, this is recorded. But then the question also was, when you bulk load, upload, you have to assign them buyer, seller, etc. Doesn't that put them in a compliance mode?
No. So just know that the only way it's going to get in compliance mode is if I answer the phone or the broker, he can go in the system and, assign leads. So, the idea is if it comes from broker, it's immediately labeled a broker lead. So if I go in and just, if I can, enter them myself and just simply pull up, a spreadsheet and type in first name, last name, and put in 10 of my friends and
Right.
bring them all in, and the system will know that those are agent leads. So
they came back and said viewable. Does that make sense, or do we need to get more clarity?
I think, let me see that, let me just see, this system would be, so I'll go live for just a second and just show you two pieces of the question. So if I show you that, this is, all I did was just push this 291. So if I just push all of my contacts, this is a sample account, so I may not have a broker lead, but you will see Cheryl as my first person in the list, and you will see that she is labeled an agent lead. Very simple. If I had answered the phone or the broker sent me that lead, she came into my system, that would just simply say broker lead. So agent lead will never show up in the compliance piece. Broker lead, whatever the rules are, and they can all be different. Whatever they are is the rules I have to follow to stay compliant.
Perfect.
So that's it, very simple. So I'm actually going to show you real quick just the sample spreadsheet. So if I go up and act like I'm going to import contacts, and you'll see this click a download sample at CSV. If I click that, you're going to see that this actually just opens up an Excel spreadsheet that gives me the titles,
First name, last name, mobile.
the fields that I have that I can add. So that's where I'm gonna, but every single one of these, no matter what I label them, client type, status, lead source, every single one of them will be agent generated leads. So the only thing I'm going to add to that is, look, I could have sold a house to someone, 3 years ago, and now the person is we text all the time, we call, we run into each other, we're friends. That lead could have started as a broker lead. I may have forgot, that originally that lead came in. That lead will always be a broker lead if it came in a broker lead.
Gotcha.
So the guy could be a friend of mine now, but it
started
came in
as a
that
broker
way.
lead.
So just kind of be aware that does exist.
And remember, 16.7 months, you can fall in love with somebody and forget that it came from a broker.
Yep, and forget where it came from.
Okay, one other question that we can get to, then we'll be wrapping, is can you edit a listing alert?
Yeah, so if I do set someone up on a listing alert, what we can do is, let's say I set that up for a contact. I meet you at an open house. You're like, yeah, send me a listing alert. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. This is how I personally use it. So I'll set them up on a listing alert, and they're getting the listing alerts. Again, I know if they open up the email.
Right.
I know if they look at any one of those listings. I send them 3 new listings, they look at all 3, I'm going to know they took the time to look at all 3. Well, they're not doing it because they're bored. I mean, they may not be ready to, like, I'm going to buy a house today. But when I know that happens, I'll actually I'll monitor what they're looking at. I'll be able to see if they looked at, 5 different zip codes looking on my website or my mobile app, or if they looked at 1 or 20. And I can actually go in and change their listing alert based on what they're looking at.
Oh, so you can update. So if the listing alert was too narrow and you see activity, you can go in there and make it more broad.
I can add 3 zip codes, raise the price. If you're looking if I only have you set up on 1 zip code up to 200, and you're looking in 3 zip codes up to 250, I can actually go in there and add the 2 zip codes, raise it up to 250, save it. This afternoon's listing alert, 3 zip codes up to 250. And the exception for that is if I set that up or they set it up themselves, if they make a change to it. So if I set it up for them and they go, oh, it's so simple for them to do. Like, I want to add a zip code. Or, no, that's not right. I want to lower the price or raise it. They've sort of taken control of it. And I can't change it once they have control over it.
So once they lock you out.
So if they create it, I can't change it. But if I create it and they change it, then they're taking ownership of it.
But if they change it, then you better call them. That's
absolutely. Well, they're absolutely another piece of logging in the system and just monitoring Zap scores to keep those folks close to us.
Okay, we want you to save the date. You have two things though, just to get them up to speed before we go.
So I'll tell you real quick. If you've tried to share your personal referral link on Facebook, had a bug with it for a little bit, that's been fixed. So don't be afraid to share your personal referrals to get people to come again directly to your website, your mobile app. And then just so you know, we are having trouble with insights. So if you have been doing insights, property or local, there has been a bug with them actually getting to certain places. So just continue to work on them. They're still helping you, in the huge marketing piece. But just know the team's working hard to get those fixed for you. So just wanted to make sure that we knew that those 2 things were
keeping you updated, folks. Please make a note, save the date. Next Zap-TV show will be on February the 14th, and that'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So mark your calendar, tell your friends so they can come in and ask questions, get their problems solved. That's what we're here for. So I hope you enjoyed the show. We had a little fun with myth busting.
Absolutely. No fire, but it was fun.
No fire, it was fun though. So for my co-host Wayne, I'm Dan Elzer, and we want to thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.